Hey, church family. It's Friday, and we have a special Friday update for you guys today from Pastor Shelby. So be sure to stay tuned.
Hey guys, Shelby here. I just wanted to give you a quick update on my health and then just offer you a little word of encouragement uh, here at the very end. A journey that started for me back at the end of February now has an end in sight. Back in February, I was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia, and they immediately put me on chemo um, to to try and kill the cancer cells and to get me into a remission just as soon as possible. I did enter into a remission there at the top of April. They have continued to do chemo after that, just to continue just to beat down those cancer cells in my body and trying just to get rid of, keep it at bay. And as of 4 weeks ago, I have now finished my chemo. My body's pretty thankful about that, because as I was able to recoup pretty quickly early on after each chemo round, there's obviously a cumulative there's a cumulative side effects that build up in your body from all the chemo, and so these days it's a little bit harder to recoup. But again, as of 4 weeks ago, I'm done with chemo, and I found out just a few days ago that I am now in the queue for a stem cell transplant. And it's going to happen a whole lot sooner than I had initially anticipated. I will be admitted to the hospital sometime the week of September 6th, even as early as September 6th, where they will kill off my existing immune system and then introduce a new donor immune system into my body. And I will be in the hospital for about 3 to 4 weeks while this new immune system begins to take hold in my body and then start producing red blood cells and white blood cells and platelets and all those normal things that your immune system produces. But they'll be watching me closely those first 3 or 4 weeks just to make sure the new system's taking hold and starting to reproduce, and that it's not attacking my existing cells. And then after that, they will release me, hopefully sometime around the top of October, and I'll come home. And I'll still have to go to the hospital each day, so this is 7 days a week, where they will check my levels and just make sure everything is still working. I'm sure I'll still continue to get blood and platelets during this time, as my numbers will probably still be pretty low. But with this advanced timeline now, where I'm going in much earlier, this means that hopefully I can recoup earlier than I had anticipated. So still got a long stretch before me, but there is an end goal in sight. Let me leave you with this today. Even though I've always thought of myself as a strong person, strong in character, and courage, cancer has really shown a light on just how inadequate I really am, just how poor and feeble and fearful I really am. Maybe you're feeling the same way in the midst of this coronavirus. Yes, I can be resolute and steadfast in the midst of some of the many tests and procedures I've had done, but the strength that I realize now I might have leaned on in the past is not the one that I realize that I need now. 2 Corinthians 12:9 says, "My grace is sufficient for you, For my power, not Shelby's power, the power that comes from outside me, is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly of my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ may rest upon me. I recently read a commentary on this verse from John Owen, where he's an old 17th century Puritan, and he says, "The duties that God, in an ordinary way, requires at our hands are not proportioned to what strength we have in ourselves, but to what help and relief is laid up for us in Christ. And we are to address ourselves to the greatest performances with a settled persuasion that we have not ability in the least." Both this verse and this quote describe perfectly how I feel these days. Maybe they describe you as well. When I think about the strength and the vigor that I currently possess when faced with the enormousness of the task before me, I can quickly become discouraged. I can quickly become despondent. There's simply not enough strength left within me to continually muster more courage up from out of thin air. And I know just from talking to you that many of you feel the same way. COVID in many ways has sapped your strength, has sapped your vigor. Friends, I'm just here to remind us today that we are wholly and completely inadequate for the task laid before us. Whether that's going through a stem cell transplant, whether that's simply getting up and going to work, or whether that's heading to the mission field in Central Asia, there is no encouragement left in ourselves, and there is no hope left to hold in our hands outside of the help and relief laid up for us in Christ. So what allows us to face tomorrow? What possesses us to push forward in hope? It's Jesus. It's still Jesus. It's always been Jesus. And it's only when I consider the supremacy of Christ in all things and the abundant treasures laid up in him that I find my courage not only restored, but bolstered for the hard days that I have lying before me. Jesus doesn't cure my lack of courage or strength. He doesn't put me on some workout plan, to bolster my strength. But instead, he gives me his very own. And it's when I'm reminded of a sovereign God who brings the dead back to life that I find my feet upon solid ground once again. He won't forfeit his hold on his promises. He will see me through all of this. He will see you through all of this. He will see us through all of this. And it's when I dwell on the grace that has saved me and the goodness of God who dies for his enemies that I can rest at night knowing that he will never leave me or he will never forsake me. He hasn't yet. And it's when I contemplate that he knows what it's like to bear these burdens, that suffering is not foreign to him, that I can trust that he not only knows my fears and my anxieties, but that he will take care of me even in the midst of everything going on. Friends, continue to encourage one another. Encourage friends you know who are still struggling in the midst of all this COVID. Continue to encourage your pastors. And I even selfishly ask you to continue to encourage me. And know that the most comforting words you can speak to someone are those that speak of Jesus. It's only in him that we can continue to be strong and comforted beyond all measure. Love you guys, miss you guys, but for me, the in line is in view, and I hope to be around you again soon. Have a good week.